Screenagers. Welcome back to Screen Age Exclusives. We've got another exclusive interview today. Am here with Tina Nawrocki. I'm so sorry. I should have checked if that's how you pronounce it before we started recording.
Very close. All of it. It's
Nawrocki?
Nawrocki.
Nawrocki. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. All right. Thank you for correcting me. But you're known for working on Cuphead as well as a lot of other animation projects. So we're super excited to talk to you about your new project, Sirenka, Legend of the Warsaw Mermaid. So thanks for talking to us today.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yes, I am known for Cuphead and Cuphead DLC. That was an amazing project to work on. I still work in video games actually full time, doing some hand drawn animation on a bunch of projects, but I'm currently here to talk about my short independent 2D animated film, Sirenka.
Absolutely. So before we get into the stuff for Sirenka, I did want to ask what first drew you to animation and how did you get into the animation industry?
Oh, it's a long story. I always was good at drawing, and I think I latched onto it because I had an older, perfect sister who was good at everything, including drawing, but I was slightly better than her. So it was kind of, I was like, this is going to be my thing because she's perfect at everything and I'm slightly better at this. And I took it very seriously. I was very aggressive at like career oriented child. So at like 8, I was like, I'm going to study anatomy. I'm going to sketch things really seriously. And I was obsessed with horses as a kid, but didn't have, I was an immigrant. I'm a Polish immigrant. Spoiler, this is why I'm doing a film about a Polish legend. So we didn't have money to do horseback riding. It's a very kind of, expensive sport. So I started drawing horses obsessively, and then I would go around to stables and sell it to people to try and make a bit of money to then ride some horses. And so my obsession with drawing started with horses. And I drew a lot of them. I started painting them in oil paints. I got a scholarship to go to Kentucky to study horse anatomy because of it when I was like 14. And then I started drawing portraiture because rich people want to be painted with their horses. And so I started drawing humans, a very realistic kind of background of art. And when I got a bit older, I started working for films, so painting backdrops and sets for films. And then I took a 3-year program in Montreal, which is where I'm from, Montreal, Canada. That's where I grew up. And I took a 3-year course called Illustration and Design. So it was very like broad. They touched on everything. We even did airbrush, we did, painting, we did charcoal, we did computer. This is the first time I touched a computer, so I started learning Photoshop and things like that. And they had an animation course, and this was,
Wow.
this like tiny little segment. So it was just we had 2 little animation classes and some 3D. And I was also a theater kid growing up. I loved the stage, I loved acting, but decided to pursue my art, like drawing more professionally. And so animation was this aha moment where I was like, oh my God, this is both acting and drawing, and it's actually attainable. So I was obsessed very quickly and kind of really pivoted because I thought I would be an illustrator. I thought I would just like continue drawing for a living, but it turns out animation was really fun. I was good at it. And it was that like it scratched both itches, I guess, of my passions. So really long story, but that's how it got there.
Yeah, absolutely. Were there any early animation inspirations like TV movies that you really fell in love
Yeah.
with as you got into animation?
Yeah, so my first memory of feature film was The Little Mermaid, actually. So it came out, and I like my sister and I had long hair, and we would brush our hair with forks. Like we were just completely obsessed. And then Robin Hood was the second animated film that I ever watched. And the bunny Skippy in it, he turned 7 years old, and he does archery. I also do archery. So I was like, oh my God, Skippy is me. I am Skippy. And so I was really obsessed with Robin Hood because I just turned 7. And then, because of that, our parents would like be sure that we watched every new Disney film that came out. And a little bit later, I discovered Ghibli. And so, like, oh, I was obsessed with that. And then, much to like I guess good luck, when I was studying illustration and design, that's when Avatar: The Last Airbender came out on
An
TV, and
amazing
I
show.
was, yeah, I was just kind of really, really into that. And I started like really discovering more stuff because of people around me. So like Samurai Jack, like it it was this plethora of amazing genres and styles. And I started, looking into like Eastern European early animation. I took an amazing class called History of Animated Film at Concordia University. I took some night classes there. And the teacher was so passionate. He had like these reels and reels of old cartoons. And like he even had a segment of like, like just completely a huge segment of Japanese animation altogether, which not a lot of I find like, Western animation history classes teach. So he thought it was just as important to talk about, the East as well as the West. So that was really wonderful. So I discovered a whole lot of other things like that. And I have, piles of art books of different animated films and series. So I can't say one thing gets me going. I think all animation freaks me out and makes me excited.
Awesome. That's really, really cool. So your work includes film and TV and video games. So I wanted to ask, what were some of the differences between the different animation mediums, and how does the creative process evolve through those mediums?
Oh, absolutely. So the bulk of my work, I've been working for 20 years now. It goes by quickly, my goodness. So
Wow.
this is my 20th anniversary of working in the industry. So video games is really exciting. It's the first thing I went into because Montreal, I don't know if you know this, is kind of mecca for video game studios. So there's
Hmm.
a lot of work in that. And I actually don't play games. I'm a really horrible gamer. But I've worked in video games all my life, so I know a lot about them just because of, having, been part of the production side, but I don't play them that often. So, yeah, so I started with video games, and video games are very, body mechanics based, action based. And I want to preface this for anybody who doesn't know, I'm a 2D traditional animator, so I draw everything frame by frame. So I don't work in 3D. I tried it, respect to everybody who does that, but I just couldn't do it. I was like, no, it was just too much for me. So I like, that feel of hand drawn, and I'm very passionate about keeping that art form alive, even though, we kind of veered away from it once Pixar movies became a thing.
Hmm.
So, video games, action based, lots and lots of action, lots of body mechanics, lots of cycles. And I actually love animating walk cycles. And I know some people find it's like drudgery and boring, but I feel like you could tell an entire story just with how a person walks. So I love it. And so it's very, very action based. But then, when you do TV or film, it's, you have camera angles, you have the layout done for you, you have lip sync. So you have actors, and how they portray the character with the voice affects how you animate the character. So that's
Hmm.
very interesting and a completely different challenge in and of itself. And then film is the same, but you have more time. Like I find TV, you're very pressed for time. You have to, hurry, hurry, hurry. Video games as well. The deadlines are very quick. You have to like speed is of the essence. And film, you do all that, but you have more time, more iterations, a director who's going to pick it all apart and try over and over again. Whereas game stuff, you have to kind of get it approved as quickly as possible just to move on because there's a lot of work. So I love all of it. I have most of the experience in video games. This is partially why I wanted to make a short film with lip sync, with more realistic characters, because I'm known for very cartoony, very, broad action. And I wanted to push myself and practice more of that, kind of more realistic, emotional. So it's a journey. I don't think my film is going to be perfect, but it's definitely going to be a huge learning experience.
Wow, super cool. And we'll get to that, but I first did want to talk about Cuphead because I mean,
Yay!
and you can talk about other things you've worked out too, but Cuphead's a big one because it was Game of the Year, I think, a few years ago.
Oh my
Um,
God, it won so many
mhm.
awards. It's absolutely insane. I remember they
Yeah,
were doing the MDHR studio was just doing a lap of all the award shows and picking up awards. It was great.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and if any listeners have not heard of Cuphead, huge breakout success. It won numerous awards. It has a TV show spinoff on Netflix. So I did want to just ask what it was like being a part of that creative team, and what are maybe some lessons you learned from that creative experience.
Oh, absolutely. So most of the work I've done is for independent, so indie studios, which is a very different experience than like working at a really big corporate studio. And I've done a bit of that as well. And to me, indie has always had my heart. I think there's something magical about like, a ragtag team of like a few people who have a lot of heart and want to make something that they love. and will do anything to get it done and to get that
Mhm.
into the world. And I feel, from the bottom up, it really does affect the industry, as we saw with Cuphead, which was like, millions and millions of sales. People, it made like the whole genre of 1930s retro cartooning became popular because Cuphead was such a huge success. And we were a tiny team. We were basically remote before remote was a thing. So we did this
Wow.
pre-COVID, and everybody was shocked when we would say that we never met each other until the day of the launch, and we worked together for years. And so the two Moldenhauer brothers, Chad and Jared, are from Canada as well. Chad lives in Oakville, Ontario, so very close to Toronto, and Jared lives still in Saskatchewan, where they're all from. And it was a family affair. They loved video games. They loved that retro 1930s style because their family had like VHS tapes of like Betty Boop and Popeye, and they kept watching that when they were kids, and so they were obsessed with the style. And it was this huge, wonderful passion project. And one of the things that made me most excited about it is that I find, to 2D animation like 10 years too late. There was like the height of like Disney was hiring, everybody was hiring 2D animators. And then it was like by the time I was ready to get into the industry, it had just like completely petered out. And I was so sad. And I was like, I'll never work on paper, which I love. Like, I love flipping pages. I was like, nobody's ever going to hire me to do frame by frame animation. This is so sad. And, that's what every professor, every person would tell you. It's like, don't do 2D, go 3D, stop doing that. Like, you'll never get a job. And I was very, stubborn because this is the medium that I love, and I love doing it. And so I did some pencil tests. I like worked for 8 years and went back to school at Sheridan College in Toronto. And I did pencil tests, and I would put them up on a blog. That was like my first online presence because I didn't have any online anything. And this blog was found by the Moldenhauer brothers, and they're like, "Oh wow, you work on paper. We actually want to make a video game completely on paper." And they saw that I also had worked on video games, so that was like how I got the job. They just kind of reached out to me, and I did a pencil test, and they approved it, and that's how the journey began. So we were only four animators to start, and we
Wow.
did the entire game. There was only one background artist, Caitlin Russell. She
That's
painted everything by
insane.
hand on watercolor. Just one person doing everything.
I mean, because the
Oh,
game's incredible. I can't imagine how long it took to animate everything in that
oh,
game.
Jesus. So I started in 2015 and the game launched in 2017. So I worked over 2 years on it. But in total, I think from like inception to release, it was 7 years. But they started,
Wow.
really slow, like doing it part time in their basement, and then like slowly hired people once they really thought they had something going there. So it was definitely like one of those amazing highs. Also, like throughout all of it, we all kind of knew we were doing something awesome. And I told myself, because I had worked for, 8 years in games, but a lot of them got canceled. Some of them I wouldn't even admit that I worked on because they were that
Oh.
bad. And so I felt like I had nothing to be proud of. And then when Cuphead came along, I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter if this fails or succeeds. I'm so proud of the work that I'm doing on it. Everybody had put so much passion, so much like beautiful creative energy into it. And we did not expect it to be what it was. It was just a cultural phenomenon and really took off. And it was a shock to us all how well it did. But we definitely felt we were doing something really cool while we were working on it. It was a kind of like you felt the magic, right? You felt that magic.
Absolutely. Like I myself have not actually played Cuphead. I've played another 2D animated game, Spiritfarer, which is also hand-drawn animations, but it's much easier. Cuphead is a
Yes,
really hard
hard.
game. But it's a really beautiful game and I've watched friends play it. Just amazing animation.
So
But I
speaking
Mhm.
of 2D games, though, I'm just going to put a shout out to another
Yeah.
project that I'm working on. And if
Yeah.
you like a game that's slightly less hard, I'm working on another game for a studio in Montreal called Woodrunner Games, and it's called
Okay.
Crow, and it's
I
about
was
a
going to get
flat
to that
dog.
actually.
So let's talk about that at some point because it's awesome.
Yeah. So that was my next question, actually. I was going to transition into that. That you'd worked on a recent video game called Croak, which is a 2D platformer coming soon to Steam. And how did your previous video game experience play into that creative process? And what is different about Croak than other platformers?
Oh my goodness, so many good questions. So this was really lovely. The two, the CEO Max and the art director Rob reached out to me to take a look. They had like a game concept started, and they just wanted to have my feedback on some animations, like maybe tweak some stuff. And it turns out that they liked what I did so much that they just hired me as the main animator on the game. And it was such a lovely experience because it is very cartoony. But it is not 1930s. It is very much my own style, like just very cartoony, very squishy. Everything I love, I put into it. So lots of squash and stretch. Most of the characters are orbs, like they're just very round and very chunky, and like everybody loves animating a chunky character. It's the best thing in the world. So the animation style really kind of comes from my heart, and they let me do whatever I wanted. It was really, really wonderful. I didn't have that kind of rigid art vision, so that I
Hmm.
got a lot of freedom on Croak. And I think that's why I love it so much, because it's very much my baby when it comes to the visuals and how it looks.
Hmm.
It's very cute, it's very squishy, it's very funny. The platforming mechanic that makes it so special is that the frog has a tongue, and you can kind of grapple and stick and then like project yourself across the levels with it. So that
Okay.
mechanic makes it really, really interesting, and I think everybody will really love it. And it's made for speedrunning, so all the
Mm.
speedrunners out there who love to like get faster and faster and more efficient, they can definitely check it out. The backgrounds are lush and beautiful. The music is great. I can't tell everybody enough. There's a demo. You can go play it. There's a free demo on Steam. And then, of course, add it to wish list so that you know when it comes out. And you can buy it and play it and enjoy all the squishy, fun animations.
Yeah, and we'll definitely link that too in the interview, so people can check that out. But I definitely wanted to get to the meat of the conversation, which is your short film project, Sirenka. I'm so sorry if I miss. It is
No,
Sirenka.
Sarenka, very good. That's
Okay.
exactly it.
Sirenka, Legend of the Warsaw Mermaid. So I kind of want to hear all about this. So creative process, how you came up with the idea, and information about like what you're doing, what's your plan for the Kickstarter, and plans for after that if you're looking to distribute or independently release it, kind of everything, I guess, about the
Oh my
project.
God, yes. We'll start from the very beginning, I guess. The idea for the film, which is I am Polish. I was born in Radom, Poland. I still have a lot of family back in Poland. My father's there, so I travel back and forth as much as I can to see family. So I speak it fluently, I read and write. And growing up, even though we grew up in Montreal, Canada, my parents were very adamant we have to speak Polish at home. We read a lot of Polish literature, and I was
Mhm.
trying to learn French because Montreal's in Quebec. So I was like
Mhm.
reading like an English book, a Polish book, a French book, and then I would rotate and like keep trying to
Oh,
learn all
wow.
three languages at the same time. And as I kind of briefly mentioned with Skippy and archery, I was a huge tomboy growing up. I loved weaponry, especially like, like old school weapons. So I learned archery, I learned saber fighting, and I learned archery off of horseback. So it's like Tartar style. It's very short bow, and you ride a horse and you shoot arrows. So I loved all that kind of stuff. And so to me, very naturally, having gone to Warsaw to visit family, seeing this amazing emblem of the city of Warsaw, which is the warrior mermaid. And she's pretty badass. She has a shield, she has a sword, and traditionally she has two legs, two like fins instead of just the one. And if you look at old European art, most mermaids don't have the one tail, they have two legs, which makes all the sense when you look at some of the legends. So, that image was very interesting to a young little warrior Tina. And I asked my aunts about, what's the story of the mermaid? And they told me the legend, which actually, looking back, is I guess my family version of it because it was kind of dark and kind of creepy and very interesting. And then I read the official legend online, and it's a lot more vanilla. It's not as badass as my family retelling. So I was like, oh, that's really intriguing. That's really cool. And when I got older, I was like, oh, one day I want to make an independent film. And to me, doing The Legend of a Mermaid is something that I would love to do. And I was in my early 20s when I was like, okay, one day I'm going to do this. And I wanted to kind of tweak the story because I find that it has a little bit of like she gets saved by a dude in it, and I'm like,
Mhm.
that's not right. She's so
Yeah.
awesome, she's a warrior, like why would that happen? So I'm giving it a bit of a feminist twist.
Mhm.
And as I grew older, I thought like that little feminist twist should be, core to the story, that it should be a story that is symbolic, and that, this a symbol of a warrior mermaid becomes a symbol for resilience. Because I don't know if you are aware, I'm sure you are, but I feel we're taking steps backwards when it comes to a lot of things, including women's rights. And especially in my home country of Poland, we've had a slew of conservative governments that have been stripping rights off of women progressively. Women have been protesting a lot. There's something called the Czarna protest, which means the black protest, where women completely shut down the country by leaving their jobs, leaving their homes, and wearing black with black umbrellas to protest what was going on. So this is happening not only in Poland but worldwide. So I feel like it's important time to make art that has, a message. And so I'm using the legend of a mermaid to tell this message. And so, as I said, I was 20 something when I had the idea. I sat on that idea for over 10 years. And then I decided that I want to do it, but that I don't want to do it alone. And I think young people would have just like, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to make this film and it's going to be just me. But as you get older, you realize that collaboration is so magical. And especially since I wanted it to be uplifting women's voices, I wanted to have a variety of women participate. And that's why this film is primarily made by women. I think we have one token man so far, but everybody, mostly everybody on our team is either female or gender not conforming. And it's been an absolute delight. So I worked with a character designer from Morocco. Her name is Yasmin Kirouche. She's very young, but super talented. And I could have drawn the characters myself, but I wanted to have like, a different perspective. Maybe they'll draw them slightly differently that I didn't think of. And she did make some details which I absolutely love, of the like final design of the mermaid. And then I worked with a script writer. And this is something that I encourage people. I don't write well. I draw real good, but I don't write well. And when I tell the story, I swear a lot. Like I'm not like I have such a potty mouth. Like, like the dialogue would have been just like a bunch of swear words. It would have not been very, very, good for all audiences. So I decided to work with a scriptwriter, and I got the script written and I had the character designed. And then I reached out. I was like telling everybody how excited I am that I'm going to finally do this. I'm going to finally make my own film. And I talked to Felicity Moreland, who is amazing. She's from Australia. She lives in Toronto, Canada. And she was making a documentary called Hand Drawn Film. Great
Mhm.
subject to talk about, by the way, if you ever want to invite her on the show. But
Yeah.
her documentary film was about the state of 2D animation in the world today. And I was
Very
one of her
cool.
interviewees, about Cuphead and about like how everybody loved that hand drawn feel of the video game. And I told her about Serenka and how excited I was. And she's like, do you have a producer for the film? And I'm like, no. She's like, would you like one? And I'm like, yes. And so she became my producer. And the reason that I guess we have the quality that we have and we have the lofty goals that we have for the film is because of Felicity. So she was like, you know what? You have a great start, but we're going to crowdfund right away to get some funds for pre-production, to hire, talented voice actors, to get the animatic done, to get like, a bunch of people on board, to get like all like the storyboards done, everything. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay. So we did our first crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo, which was a success. So that was amazing. It was a lot of work, and that got us really going. So, as I said, we had our amazing scriptwriter, Zarin Darnell Martin, and she
Mhm.
is an actress from Toronto who is actually, Handmaid's Tale.
Mhm.
So there's a new one on Hulu called Testaments.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
she's an actress on that. She's one of the aunties. Like she's like
Oh,
a bad
wow.
yeah, like, and she's been on all the like carpets like with it, and so she's like, I'm like,
That's
oh, she's
amazing.
so famous. So yeah, and I've known her since I was a baby. Like basically, my
Oh,
sister who's older was best friends with her, so she kind of like partially raised me. Like you always look up to your older sisters. I've
wow.
known her since I was a teeny tiny child, and
That's
she
amazing.
wrote an amazing script. It's the short is going to be 7 minutes, and the script
Mhm.
is really really lovely. Like I also got two consultants on it because again, I draw stuff. I'm not like the smart one. So I wanted it to have like a powerful message. So I hired my
Mhm.
sister, who is a
Okay.
historian, but she studies human rights as well. And
Very cool.
another childhood friend of ours is a PhD in feminism, Black feminism, and also human
Mhm.
rights. And so they were there at every script meeting. We discussed things, made sure that points were coming across, and there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of questions asked, and I think the final version of the script is really, really strong, and I was really excited about it. Yeah, so like then we started production, and as I said, we're doing it with a team. We got the funds to pay everybody. This is something that I'm really really proud that we're doing, because I feel artists need to get paid. We have bills to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, so we're halfway done through animation at this point,
Mhm.
and we are doing one final crowdfunding campaign. We also won some grants to get
Mhm.
more funding, which was really great. But we're at the very kind of like, okay, we need to finish it. So we have a budget for the music, but we want another chunk of money to basically get the animation finished in 1 year. So I want to
Mhm.
hire a few animators to support me with the animation and with the cleanup, and because that's like the bulk of work, and to get
Mhm.
it done. And then hopefully we will do a festival run, which is the goal. I love how Felicity's like, yeah, we're gonna, like, we're gonna try for an Oscar. I'm like, okay,
So
sure.
exciting. Hey, there is an Oscar for animated short,
I
so
know. So who knows? And then after the festival run, just to talk about distribution, which you asked,
Mhm.
obviously our backers, like anybody who supports the film, is going to get an early release, so we get to watch it at home in a link, and then it will live happily ever after on the internet somewhere cozy, so that everybody can watch it once it's done its like official festival run.
very cool. And do you have a voice cast confirmed, or is that something you're still okay?
That was
Any
really
names you can
early
share?
on. Yeah, so I really early, because again, mermaids are vocal creatures, right? Like
Mhm.
mer people in general, sirens, all of them, they sing, right? Their voice is their
Mhm.
power. And in the legend of a Warsaw Mermaid, the mermaid sings, and it is her power as well. So one of the first things I did was I wanted to figure out what song she sings in my film, and this is really
Mhm.
cute because I was like, I don't know what song. And there's two levels of copyright for those people who are not musicians. There's
Mhm.
the music and the lyrics of the song are copywritten, and then the
Mhm.
rendition is copywritten. But
Yep.
something that's ancient, like a really old song, is copyright free for the
Mhm.
lyrics and for the music, and then you just have to pay for the rendition. So I wanted something old and also makes sense for a legend. And so my mom, bless her, her name is Bata, she was like, I will find this. And she like went all over the internet and found an old Polish ballad, because I really wanted the mermaid to sing in Polish. The characters speak in English because,
Mhm.
just for worldwide distribution, but I really
Mhm.
wanted her to sing in Polish. So she sings Oj ty rzeko, which is a Polish ballad called O Ye River, which is great because the Warsaw Mermaid is a river mermaid. Like the Vistula River is her home, so she's a river mermaid. So yeah, so she sings, and I got an amazing soloist called Sylwia Zelegolonka in Poland to sing it for me. And again, my mom found her, and she like brutally called her on the phone. She didn't even email. She just found her number somewhere and just like called her and was like, "My daughter makes film. You must sing for this film."
Amazing.
How embarrassing. But thankfully, Sylvia is amazing, and she thought it was adorable and said yes. And she did a beautiful rendition of the song. It has two versions, which is really fun in my film. The first time the mermaid sings is like beautiful and calm and soothing, and she's happy. The song is meant to protect the village of Warsaw. And then her second song, she's angry and pissed, and like the same song is like completely different. So she sings it twice, which is really cool.
Very cool. And who voices the mermaid?
Oh, so okay, we have a whole a cast. So
Mhm.
there's the mermaid, but the main character really is a bar matron, and which is really interesting. In ancient Poland, women had a lot of rights, including ability to own property. So she owns like a pub, which like used to be
Mhm.
like a bar and then like a hotel upstairs. So
Mhm.
Kinga is the character, and she's like the main one who like interacts with the mermaid. She has a young daughter called Mila, who doesn't have like any spoken words, but she has like some sounds. And then there's a bunch of fishermen and two main fishermen. One is an old fisherman called Rados, and
Hmm.
he is hashtag not all men. He's like the nice guy in the story. And then we have our main antagonist who is called Cosmere. And it's funny, my sister named all the characters, and Cosmere, like they all have meaning. Like Kinga means of kings, which is kind of good for the story. Mila means the kind one. The mermaid is called Viswava, which is like from the Vistula River. And Cosmere, his name means destroyer of the peace. so
Ooh.
so even the names have meaning, and we never hear the names in the short, but they're there. So this was a nightmare actually, because
Oh
I
no.
managed to find the voices I wanted, but two of them were a union and two non-union, and that was
Okay.
an absolute nightmare with the union to try and like
Yikes.
make that work. But we did it. It took a really long time, but it was a bit of a nightmare. So um, it took me forever to find the voice of a mermaid because a lot of voice actresses auditioned, and I found their voices sounded too normal. Like
Hmm.
I wanted something weird and slightly other earthly, and of course we're gonna also put some, effects on the voice to make it sound even weirder. But like I wanted somebody who had an interesting voice. And my scriptwriter Zarin was like, "Oh, like have you heard Chayla Hunter? She has an Instagram where she's like reads poetry to plants."
Okay.
Beautiful, and it's so soothing. And so I listened to her voice. I'm like, wow, she is the voice of a mermaid. Let's do it. And she's one of the union actresses, so I got her to do the voice of a mermaid. And then for the men, one we just found through like getting auditions, and he's absolutely wonderful. His name is James Jordan. He does stand-up comedy. He does Cosmere. He does stand-up comedy. He does a bunch of stuff, and he like played a prick so well for this film. So that was amazing. And then finding actually like an older man to play the old fisherman was really tough because we got a lot of people auditioning who were young, pretending to be old. And I was like, it sounds not real. It sounds cartoonish. It sounds awful. And so I actually reached out to Rob Corbett, who is a theater teacher of mine. So he taught theater for animation, and I was one of his students. And he had a lovely voice, and he's an older, man. So I reached out, and he was like, "Absolutely, I'll record this for you." So he did that. And then Kinga was again a nightmare because I really wanted like power in her voice. I wanted to feel the kind of like the grit that she's
Hmm.
been through, because she's been through some shit, like
Yeah.
she's been around. So that was also a nightmare. And then after like tons of failed attempts, I actually just texted Zarin, who is, as you know, an actress as well as a script writer, and I was like, Zarin, can you just like record one of the lines from the script of Kinga and send it back to me like via text? And she's like, sure. And she recorded it. I'm like, okay, she's the one. She's Kinga. So not only did she write the script, but she's also voicing the main
Amazing.
character.
Wow. That's so awesome. So it is on Kickstarter right now, or is it launching at a specific date?
It is on Kickstarter, and we are doing the campaign till end of May. As you all know, like May is Mermaid. I don't know if you're aware of the artsy kind of thing that everybody draws mermaids in May. So we thought it'd be a really nice thing to start it off in April and then go all the way to May. And there's a lot of really awesome things in the Kickstarter. If you're interested in animation, 2D animation, is that I love animating on paper. Cuphead was fully animated on paper. So Serenka, all the shots that I do are animated on paper as well, which means a lot of drawings. And if you are a collector of animated drawings like I am, like I love collecting drawings from different films, there are a bunch for sale. So you can just buy the mermaid if you want. You can buy the whole cast of characters. So you can get one drawing of each character. And unlike other Kickstarters where like you just buy a drawing and we just send you whatever, we actually have a catalog and you get to pick the drawing that you get.
Very cool.
Yeah, and they'll be all signed and we will be sending them out. And of course, there's some beautiful prints included. And, if you just want to support to see the film, it's like $25 to see the film early. Otherwise, obviously, even $5 helps. But yeah, if you're a collector, absolutely check it out. There's also a tier which is just about the music, because not only do we have Sylvia Zelek singing Ojcze Rzeko twice. So obviously we're not using the entire song in the film, but we recorded the entire song so we can have it in the, audio version. But the music is composed by Mariana Caligari, who is doing a beautiful job making the soundscape and the music. So we'll have that. And we'll also have an amazing end song from Laboratorium Pieśni, which is a folk group from Poland. They sing a cappella. They have amazing voices, and they do sing Ojcze Rzeko, that old ballad, but they sing it as a group, and it's kind of representative, like of all the women's voices coming together at the end. So that's also included. We have a rights to that song. So if you love music, you can support us and take the like kind of musical tier. But yeah, do check it out. It's on Kickstarter and it's till end of May. So if you don't have the money right now, sharing it also really helps. Telling everybody about it to support mermaids and hand drawn animation.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for telling us all about your project. And before we wrap up, you said until the end of May to support that. And what's your progress for
So we
the
are
Kickstarter? Do you know right off?
26% there. So I'm pretty
Okay.
proud. Like we are over a quarter of the way. So this is a great start, but we still have a long way to go, three-quarters left. So everybody needs to really, really push and get behind it. And I think what's really lovely, especially in a world full of AI, is our
Hmm.
project is proudly 100% human made. No machines used for anything. It's hand drawn. The backgrounds are done by some amazing artists. Adriana Głowacka and Hazel Dang are painting all these gorgeous backgrounds. Again, the music will be recorded with real musicians in Poland. So we're gonna,
Wow.
like we have the budget for that. We're gonna fly Mariana over to Poland and we're gonna record in a studio. Again, like it's so much love, so much artistic talent has gone into this. And so, please support human made art.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for telling me all about Serenka. I'm super excited to see it. I'm probably going to go support your Kickstarter after this. So we will certainly link it in the interview. And to the screenagers who stuck with us, thanks for listening in, and we will see you all in the wasteland.